And we're live. Woohoo!
Hi.
And this time we lost Christelle before the show started. So,
I'm back. Hopefully it works. It works okay. How are you
you,
guys? Tim and
Good. It's good
Tina.
to see you again.
you missed the new titles I spent about an hour and a half creating badly.
So disappointed.
I saw them. They look great.
I'm so disappointed. Welcome, Tina. I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
to learn more about you and your children's book, your tarot reading. I'm very curious about this. So welcome.
Thank you. It's such a great pleasure to talk to you guys today. I think I was telling you just before we went live that it's been a really busy month. So this is my first day where I can just breathe and have a fun conversation.
Okay, so I know you actually from marketing, from social
Okay.
media marketing world, quite a few years back.
Several years now, probably, right?
Yeah, I think it's 2017 or 18, something like that.
Yeah.
Way in pre-COVID days. So obviously you're not working in marketing now. I think you're working in
I
teaching.
did that for about 6 years, but it was before the pandemic actually that I sort of had decided social media was exhausting me and that I wanted to get back to something else. So I'm doing a few things now, but they're all more or less related to writing, teaching, and communication, which are all in my wheelhouse, all the things that I love to do.
Okay. Well, let's start by talking about your children's book because I know you're keen to promote that.
Yeah.
Um, as I recall, it's what's it called? It's something like
Ari and the Very Loud Bird.
Yeah, Avery and the Really Loud Bird, and it's got a message in it, hasn't it? It's trying to teach children something. So talk a little bit about that book and the message that book is trying to instill to children.
Well, I mean, every book needs a message or messages, right? But I'm not the kind of writer that kind of wants to put that forward first.
Yeah.
This is sort of, I think of this as a children's misadventure story. It's a great little bedtime story because it's about Ari, who's a non-binary child. And I only say that because some parents want to know that up front,
Yeah.
and the pronouns are they, them. And that came about in the evolution of the story, actually, over a number of years. But Ari loves to sleep in late on the weekends, doesn't
Yeah.
have to go to school, wants to sleep in on Saturday. And then, this time of year, we have those early morning super loud songbirds outside. I think it's called the dawn chorus, actually, but I remember it being super loud when my own boys were kids, and just like, wow, they're like undeniable out there. So it was back then that I first started writing this story. And Ari gets pretty upset, has some pretty big feelings about this very loud bird outside their window, and then goes through a series of attempts to solve this problem with some help from dad, some help from mom, and then finally resolves the situation, but definitely not in the way they expected to resolve it. So I guess the lesson, and I don't want it to be a spoiler, but the lesson for Ari was definitely to do something that is within your own control
Yeah.
in the situation to make your life, peaceful in the way you want it to be without trying to control everything outside of you that you can't control. So that's probably the biggest lesson, but there's all kinds of sort of little sneaky, things to learn along the way, including, different things about songbirds. The story does include some very real songbird calls and things like that.
I have so many questions now. I caught on to a couple things that you're saying.
Yeah.
One, I want a copy of this book. Did you self-publish it or is it in bookstores?
It's published independently, but through Friesen Press. It
Okay.
isn't. It's available online through Amazon, also through Barnes and Noble,
Okay.
and through the Friesen Press bookstore, and it's able to be requested. So if anyone wants to request it through their library or through their bookstore, it can be requested as well. But it's readily available online.
Okay. That's amazing. Who illustrated your story?
I did. So I'm also on the side a sneaky kind of art stabler. So I've been doing art on and off my whole life. And yeah, I decided to buy myself, a iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil and get down to it. So that was part of the process as well.
That's a big part of publishing a children's story. I mean,
Yes.
I have a children's story getting ready to be published, but I
Awesome.
had to hire an illustrator, and that is a big project. So the fact that you can do this yourself,
Yeah.
I mean, was that just
Well, a couple things that are so great about it, right? For me, being a single mom who's working as a sub and an online teacher, like, I'm not exactly raking in the big
Yeah.
bucks.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it saves me a ton of money to do it that way. But it also was like, it uses a different part of your brain. So you can kind of sit down and relax. And I'm not a knitter, but I can sit down and sketch and draw. And that's kind of how I did the illustrations. I just, I did the thinking and mapped it all out, kind of had an idea visually of what I wanted, figured out what was going to go on what page. And then I just sat on my couch when I needed some downtime and did the illustrating. So it was sort of a nice aspect of it. And the other thing I loved about it is I could control the timeline myself.
mm.
I didn't have to wait on any unexpected delays or other people's schedules, which can get complicated. So that part of it was really great too.
Well, hold up the book and let's see some of the illustrations and things so you can like
This
guarantee.
book,
Ooh.
um, I'm not going to show any spoiler illustrations.
Yes. Well, I mean, cover up's right where there's the mass shooting or
I mean, this is after Ari wakes up their dad, who is not very happy the first time, and Ari whipping their socks against dad's bedroom door. And let's see what else. This is Ari's, one of Ari's big solutions was to, I'm not going to say a
yeah,
lot of detail about that one, but
Yeah.
yeah.
there was a solution there regarding to manage this very loud bird outside. And that solution may or may not have worked out as expected. It didn't. It didn't. But yeah, that's a couple of the illustrations.
I love that. Okay, so I have a comment and you
Mhm.
whatever. I love that you made the main character non-binary. I wonder if you've run across rainbow dads on Instagram.
Oh, I have not, but I'm going to take down a
Right.
note.
Write them down because they're collecting books that they like to give away books at Pride every year.
Oh, cool.
I don't know what that will mean to you, but it might be something cool to get in the hands of. I can't remember what state they're in, but I know they
Oh,
take books every year, and it's what they like to do. They like to hand out books at Pride at whatever state they're in. And again, I can't remember. So,
yeah.
uh, but I connected that. So
Oh,
I
cool.
think
Thank
kind
you
of
for
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely check them out. I mean, the thing about this story is it is sort of quietly a non-binary character. It's not a story about gender.
Yeah.
It's a story about a kid who, in the evolution of the story, because at one time Ari was a boy, at one time Ari was a girl, at one time Ari was prose and not a rhymed story.
Mhm.
Ari has gone through a lot of different incarnations along the way. At one time, Ari was um, an interactive musical song on a children's stage at a folk festival. And
Wow.
now Ari is a non-binary character in a rhymed story, and that's it. That's the final destination.
And it's really just about inclusion. I mean, for children to see themselves in stories is, it's about inclusion. So thank you for that. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's really important too. Um, just to think about the fact that for children who feel that they are non-binary, it's not like a sexual identity. It's
Mhm,
just their how they're relating to the world in terms of gender stereotypes and how they're experiencing the world around themselves. And I think, it some people are just against the idea of non-binary characters, period. So the fact that it's inclusive, the fact that it's not about the character's gender, the fact that it's meant to be read by everybody is important to me and on purpose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about the other thing that I've got you down here for. It's a tarot card reader, which admittedly is clickbait for people to come and watch me. Because it's like there's lots of child book authors, but there's not very few tarot card readers, especially because you have done like online tarot card reading and that. So talk a little bit about how you got into that and where it is. I mean, I know it's not your full-time occupation at the moment or anything like that.
It's not my full-time occupation, but, I have delved.
Yeah.
I'm a delver, like, when I get interested, I dive deep, so I bought my first tarot deck probably in 1997, I think, and I've sort of picked them up over the years. Um, it's a tool. It's, a tool that you can use, especially if you consider yourself a spiritual person, which I really am. I'm also highly intuitive, so I have the blessing and curse of things like clairaudience, you know?
Mm,
Literally, I can hear people's thoughts sometimes, and you wish you couldn't.
mm,
Um, but it's like connecting to, it's just connecting to your own higher self. And tarot cards are a bit of a bridge, I would say. It's a tool you can use to kind of communicate with your higher self, or in my case, like how I think of that, whatever you call that, right? So you learn the meanings of the cards, you learn how they can and see and hear, in some cases, how they can connect with one another in a spread, or how you pull them, or even how you shuffle them. Like, everyone has their own style. I mostly do intuitive tarot reading. Um, Sometimes I will do a simple spread, but after I do a simple spread, I like to delve. So I'll
yeah.
get really nosy and I'll ask about the energies I see. And I am a storyteller, so I see things in story form. So doing a tarot reading shows up as a story for me. So those two things really connect strongly. In During the pandemic, I got this huge piece of Bristol board and I created like plot structure on it. And I thought, I'm going to just practice tarot reading and plot structure,
Yeah.
just to see what kind of story I could come up with. And it was just like an exercise in using tarot as a tool for storytelling, which you absolutely can do, especially if you have writer's block or something. It's like, well, where do I take the story now? Um, there's all kinds of ways you can use tarot. I use it myself for guidance sometimes. I've used it for friends, for guidance for them sometimes. Um, as you mentioned, Tim, I was doing a live show sort of occasionally during the pandemic with tarot readings, and I had an amazing experience with someone from California actually who hopped on the live, except she accidentally hit the video button. She
Mm,
came, and we were both on video together, two perfect strangers, and it was so funny because I was like, "Oh," and she was like, "Oh." Anyway, it was the first time I had really strong clairvoyance, and
yeah.
with this total stranger. I saw an image, and I was talking to her. Afterwards, she said, "What you saw was exactly what I was doing right before I got on the live with you, right before I hit that button," which was a good confirmation for me that I had connected with her energy. So it was really cool, when that happened, but we both had just a tiny heart attack. When she came on the video. We weren't expecting it. But it is amazing when you use any kind of tool like that to kind of develop your intuition and your connection to the energy around you. And I've seen enough evidence to know, and I can feel when it's connecting. So you start at a certain place and then you kind of develop over time with it.
I don't think it's that uncommon for a children's book author to be intuitive and be a
Right.
tarot card reader. It might sound strange, but the two to me go very hand in hand,
Mm.
especially if you are kind of a mystic and a healer and you're a creative, so it makes a lot of sense. Maybe
Yeah,
not to the outside world, but it does make a lot of sense. Um,
yeah.
so I love that. Now, do you have your own tarot cards? As in, have you created your own, or
Well, yes and no. I mean, not nothing I would ever sell, but during the pandemic, when I couldn't get my hands on any new decks very easily, I, um I was at this, I don't even know what kind of shop, but they had a bunch of playing decks. And back in Victorian times, they would use playing decks as tarot
Mm.
cards and as the minor arcana.
okay,
So I turned those into message cards. I just used the energy. So, like the Two of Cups in a tarot deck would be the Two of Hearts in a playing card deck. So, knowing the meaning of the Two of Cups, this like spiritual union, this true love union of two people, I would just kind of like add a message to that effect on that card so they kind of coincided. So
wow,
I have these very, very rough looking playing card message cards that I created during the pandemic just for laughs, but I sometimes pull them out.
that's amazing. Now, you said, are you ever going to do lives again with the tarot?
I I am, but it's probably like realistically, it'll happen in the summertime once I'm done subbing through the rest of the year. And I'm still teaching online in the summer, but it just frees up a whole bunch of time. So
Yeah.
probably sometime in June is
Okay.
when it's realistically going to happen.
Let us know. We need to follow along
Yeah,
Oh, definitely,
or pop
definitely.
in for a reading. I'll be
yeah.
popping in.
You
Oh,
will be.
oh, good. That would be very cool.
Talking to somebody, and no doubt there are some viewers, stroke listeners, who are in the same position as me, who know very little about tarot cards.
Mm.
So, is there like a set of tarot cards? How many cards are in a tarot card pack? And is there like an international standard for tarot? And how does it work normally? I mean, how did you learn it in the first place? Was this off a book somewhere, or did you just get a pack and it's like, oh, I start dealing them, and it's like, oh yes.
Well, I can't say exactly what made me take them off the shelf in the bookstore,
Yeah,
but I was just drawn to them, and, at the time, so tarot has evolved even in the time that I've been picking up decks and using them. It has much more light energy now. I think, in the past, some cards would be thought of as, like, really negative,
yeah,
and people don't tend to read tarot as fatalistically as they once did quite a while ago. Um, so I didn't actually pick up the basic deck that a lot of people start with, which is the Rider Waite Tarot. I do have a couple of those decks now. I picked up something called the Wheel of Change Tarot, which doesn't isn't in publication anymore. But I just started where I started. I didn't have a system. I and I it's kind of how I do life.
Mhm.
Not highly recommended, but that's
yeah,
how that's how I do it. Um, I do go by feel. I started there, and for long periods of time, I haven't used them, but when I'm the most me and when I'm the happiest in my life, I can comfortably use tarot, and I feel like it's fully accepted in my world with everyone in my world, and, but there've been times when that hasn't been the case, right? We don't always have people around us who fully support what we're about. So, but now I have a whole tarot table. I've like over
mhm,
30 decks and some oracle cards, which I think are super helpful,
Mhm.
especially when you're building your confidence as a tarot reader. You can pull out oracle cards that give like messages. You can see how they relate to the tarot cards that came out. It just helps you draw those connections in your mind and to confirm for yourself that you're accurate with the energies you're reading, things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So I forgot. I hope I answered your question, Tim. That's kind of
yeah,
how I got started. And I recommend, like, if you want the basic deck, you could get the Rider Waite.
yeah,
There's 78 cards in the deck. 22 are the major arcana. Those are major energies that sort of have a longer lasting or longer casting effect in our life. The
Mm.
minor arcana is the other 56, and they are 4 suits. That's why they kind of coincide with playing cards. And They tell more of the day-to-day energies that are happening in our life, but, there are many, many different spreads. It's best to start off with 1 card, and I told you I'm a nosy delver, so I started off with 1 card, and then I would clarify that card with questions.
Mhm.
Questions are super important in tarot. Asking good questions, looking at the answer, asking good follow-up questions to see how the story evolves. I'm a big proponent of that, but as I said, I'm a little bit nosy. And then you can evolve to 2 cards, 3 cards, past, present, future, simple. Start with simple spreads. Trust yourself is the big thing, right? And have fun. You have
Yeah.
to have fun with it. You can't feel all like, "I have the weight of the spiritual world on my shoulders." It's not like that. You have to kinda see it as entertainment, take it kind of lightly, and have fun with it. And then when the real stuff hits you and you know it's true and real for you, then there's nothing more to be said about that. You'll know it. You will experience that.
I love that. So can we bring you on in June or July to do a live reading with us? Would that
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
would love
absolutely.
I would love that. I was recently drawn to a tarot reader. I'm kind of like you. I work in feelings. So I was drawn to a tarot reader and I was like, should I go to them? And they were a they them. And I thought, you know what? I do. I want a reading from a two spirit person. So I I went and it was the most accurate, beautiful. I don't know what tarot deck they used, but it was about like long-term future type thing, goals kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Accurate, beautiful. I was bawling my head off as they
Oh,
were
wow.
doing reading. It was so beautiful. So everything you're describing, I'm like, ah, come do this with us, please.
I would love to, and sometimes if I'm on a Zoom with a friend, I will pull them out if requested. We just, like, do it for a few minutes.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay, Tim, let's ask her back. Let's do
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can. Right. Well, now we're doing our kind of flexible. Look, go live one day, put the show on YouTube another day. It's we can comment. So we're a lot more flexible times now than we were.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a comment. I think I missed it at the time because we've been talking about tarot for a while, but interesting book. So thanks for that. That's from LinkedIn because I'm going on LinkedIn now as well. So,
That's awesome.
I want to
um,
I want to share your book with a couple people. I used to work for a literacy organization here in San Diego, and there's a couple organizations that I would like to share your book with. So that comment resonates.
yeah.
Christelle, just, let's connect after and find out the best way to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
So have you? Do you think tarot is more about the person or the cards?
It's 100% about the energies.
Yeah.
So, every tarot reader reads differently. So I think it's very important to find a tarot reader with, pure energy, pure intentions. Like, you don't wanna have someone who's got their own ego and or agenda in the way, and we all do to some extent. We're human,
Yeah.
right? But you wanna find someone who can kind of put that to the side, or they're like a person who is can be there with you energetically and let you be in the spotlight and let you be the total focus. Um, you want to find someone who can read clearly and with, what do I want to say here? Grace and wisdom.
Mm.
So sometimes there are energies that come out that are difficult, and there is a way to deliver that message and even to interpret that message. Like I said, it's in the follow up questions. So if you have a tarot reader who has some great life experience and some deep wisdom, they know where to take the conversation that's going to leave that person empowered, even if some really challenging energies come out in the reading, which they do. I mean, when I read for myself, sometimes I get the worst cards, and I'm just like, really? So it does happen. And that's why have fun with it, be able
Yeah.
to laugh, and definitely, like, find a tarot reader you resonate with, but someone you feel is going to be able to ultimately leave you with what I would consider a message of light, something that
Mhm.
makes you feel better and empowered afterwards, even if it's a challenging message of some kind.
What is your ultimate goal with the tarot card reading? And I think you
Mhm,
might have touched on it with leaving them with light,
mhm.
but I don't want to answer for you. What is your ultimate purpose and goal with it?
I don't think I have a separate goal for tarot card reading, but I consider myself a light worker, which I don't ever say, because it sounds really woo-woo to some people, and I'm just it's,
You just did.
mhm. What's that, Tim?
You
Tim just
just
went,
did.
"What?"
Like, yeah.
I consider myself a light worker, which just means I wanna leave people with light. I wanna leave every place better than how I found it. It's not always possible. We don't have control over everything, but that's always my intention. It's my intention with tarot reading, it's my intention with the book, it's my intention when I'm teaching, it's always my intention. It's my intention with my kids. Certainly those conversations go awry often, but it's always my intention, right? So,
Okay. I'm not sure if Christelle's frozen or if she's asleep.
Frozen was waiting. I just so we take turns asking questions, and I think Tim was waiting for me to follow up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. So we got to the time of the show where you can tell us how people can find out about you, how they can find out about your book, maybe show your book and shake it around a bit and like show people the
yeah.
excitement of Harry and the giant bird or whatever it is. The very
The
loud bird.
giant bird, the giant sounding bird.
Yeah.
So Ari and the Very Loud Bird has their own website. It's ariandtheveryloudbird.com,
Yeah.
and everything is there that you need for the book. Um, Lots and lots extra too. Um, on Instagram, I'm at tina.capalbo.writes. That's my main account. So it's lots of boring stuff like my lunch and the view from my balcony. It's unexciting, but that's my main account. And then the account I moved or started for tarot is tc.intuitive.tarot. That's on both Instagram and TikTok. Um, and TikTok has some readings on it already, quite a number of them from a while ago. Instagram is just starting up for the tarot. So they are separated out. And I'm tina.capelbo.writes everywhere online, basically, if you want to connect.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, going back to your children's book really, really quick. Are you for hire for illustrations?
Oh, I wish that I were. I wish that I were, but I'm like flat out these days. Possibly in this, it depends like the quantity. I could probably do a small job in the summertime.
Yeah,
That's a possibility.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tina, so much for joining us. I look forward to hearing more from you with your children's book, your tarot reading, all of the above. I love it. I love the energy. So this is great. Thank you for being with us.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Thanks so much for being on the show. And I can play the outro.
This is what God requires.